Hi, this is Lee Solden. Today is August 16th, 2020. This is World Languages Live. And again, my name is Lee Solden, and I'm going to teach you about my program to learn languages. Okay. I call it accelerated immersion. Accelerated immersion. It's a type of natural language acquisition. Now, I did not know that when I developed it. I was just some guy learning languages and came across all this by accident. I was interested in a dozen different languages, learning different ones at different times. Always one at a time for like 50 years. But then more recently, a couple of years ago, I started at least learning two at a time. Then I got three at a time, four at a time. But I didn't know what I was doing as far as anything about the system of mine. I just ran into it during all that, just by doing things different for different languages. All of a sudden, I learned the first thing that started this whole system, and that is that if you look at something very lightly and then put it in the background for passive listening and completely ignore it, you learn it because you looked at it, you prepared your mind for it. Okay. And so the power of passive listening to boost your time learning was the first thing I found. Okay. And I found it rather amazing how fast I could pick up stuff. This is a common phrase video. Okay. Which in Greek. Okay. And I didn't know much Greek. I was just starting to learn it. I figured I'll look up all the words for all the sentences in this common phrase video for Greek. I got done with that 4 months later. And now what? What am I going to do with that? Okay. I decided to start playing that common phrase video in the background. A week later, after studying Hindi all week, I knew a couple hundred words of Greek. Not intending to learn them, I thought maybe I'd just get a better ear for Greek by listening to it all week. Because this is complete coincidence. I was studying Greek, but there was no programming in Greek on Netflix. Otherwise, I would have done what I do with all the rest of my languages. Look up something on Netflix in that language, try to study it by the subtitles, and I probably would have never got anywhere. Okay, but because there was nothing in Greek, and I listened over and over again to that common phrase video and absorbed it, that was step one. And then I switched everything to common phrase videos. And it wasn't long before, 3 months later, another discovery. I all of a sudden was saying my Portuguese common phrases perfectly. My language partner from Brazil said I had a slight American accent, but otherwise flawless. Well, how'd that happen? He'd been gone for 3 months. I hadn't talked any Portuguese in 3 months. But I'd listened to it. I was going, this common phrase thing, I was going from Portuguese to Arabic, Portuguese to Russian, and Portuguese to Korean. Not really trying to learn the Portuguese, but I knew enough Portuguese to where I could introduce the other languages with it and get some exposure to Portuguese so that I would not forget what I knew. Okay, while my partner was gone off. So, well, I realized that my ear must have tuned into it because how else could I be saying it perfectly unless I was hearing it right? So I did the same exact thing with Russian, Korean, and Arabic, and it worked. I just listened to it a whole lot. I'd been listening to a whole lot of Portuguese. And now I'm listening to a whole lot of Arabic, a whole lot of Russian, and a whole lot of Korean. March 10th, 2019, my ear tuned into Korean at the common phrase level doing this. Then what? 2 days later, a friend of mine sent a video in an audiobook with text in Spanish and full speed. Well, I didn't want to look at it. I hadn't really looked at studied Spanish directly for a year at that point. One of the second most, the language that's second most I've studied in my life, mind you. But I hadn't looked at it in a year and wasn't that much interested. And I was doing everything by common phrase video. I was all excited with my new find. I could tune my ear into everything at the common phrase level. But a friend had sent it, so I listened to it. A few days later, I was hearing the Spanish just fine at full speed because I treated it just like a common phrase video. Listened to it a whole lot. Combination of that plus reading it a lot while listening to it, and then sometimes closing my eyes just listening to it. I did a whole lot of that for a few days there. Anyway, it turned out I did way more than I need to. I've had students tune into Spanish with way less time doing the passive listening, way less time doing the ear tuning exercises I call them now. But back then I could read Spanish quite well, so it's very phonetic. There's not much difference between a strong Spanish reader reading Spanish and reading ear tuning syllables, okay? But for a brand new student doesn't know any Spanish, here's how I teach them Spanish. They just start listening to it passively for 21 hours. Next, they are given ear tuning syllables, exact representations of exactly what they hear syllable by syllable in Spanish. I tell them, do your best to try to follow the voice on the audiobook as you're listening to the Spanish. And they can't do that because their ear's not tuned to Spanish. But I tell them, keep trying, keep trying. All they need to do is try this for 1 hour a day times 2 days, and their ear tunes into Spanish. Okay? Well, from Spanish, again, I'm interested in 12 different languages. I got my ear tuned into a whole bunch of languages, okay, pretty fast. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I already know how to absorb language by playing it. And now I found out that I can tune in to this language at full speed, play it at full speed in the background as passive listening, and pick it all up really fast in all 12 languages. But I didn't get started yet. Started a little bit, but I didn't know what I was doing exactly. This is something totally new to me. There's some issues with ear tuning. Um, First of all, you have to have really good ear tuning syllables, right? If they're not really good ear tuning syllables, if they're the wrong ear tuning syllables, they'll only work so well. Almost any ear tuning syllables will work, mind you, just a little bit. But then if you're on your own trying to write ear tuning syllables, then you have to write them, use them, improve your ear, rewrite them, use them again, rewrite them, da, da, da. Okay. Anyone comes to me to learn a language, I already got the ear tuning syllables down, okay? So I'll just give you my ear tuning syllables. Now, let's relate this all to Dutch. That's what this is about today, Dutch. Teaching you Dutch. I have it set up. Anybody listening today can learn Dutch with my system. Why? Because I'm not going to post it today because I just posted it yesterday, the video link. It was posted 23 hours ago about a video link to Slash Depover's and Lee Solden's um, uh, YouTube video. Slash did the video, okay? And I'm the one that's doing the teaching part of it. He did the video at my request. You go to that video on YouTube. How do you find it? Again, the link is posted on this site. Just look back 23 hours. I have posted that link on this site many times. So, hey, go find it. I'm not going to post it again. Okay. So go find that link. Go to YouTube and you start playing that Dutch video. And you put it on loop. If you got a computer, you just play it over and over again. If you have a phone, then you have to create a playlist to repeat it. You use the repeat function. Just play it over and over and over again, and ignore it. Go about your day. You can be reading a book. You can be watching TV, listen to Netflix, listen to your favorite music. And no, it does not have to be Dutch music. It's any music. Okay, just whatever. And you have the Dutch playing, but not so loud as to bother anything else you're doing. If you had to listen to it and tell there was some Dutch there, if you put all your ear toward it and really paid attention, okay, the Dutch is there, that's cool. That's loud enough. As long as it's getting to your speech center. If it's getting up to your ear, up to your speech center, it's loud enough. So you do this for 21 hours. I tell people like 3 hours a day times a week. So basically, if you're not in a hurry, if you are in a hurry, you gotta learn Dutch real fast. especially if you go into Belgium, because this guy is from Belgium, okay? He's speaking West Flanders dialect. So, okay, maybe, but still, I'm telling you, even if you're in the Netherlands, you need to learn that really fast. It can't hurt you to learn how a Dutch guy sounds in West Flanders. If you can hear him really well, which only takes a matter of days, really, if you're in a hurry, all you need to do, okay, 21 hours of passive listening. That means you're going to listen to it all day, okay? Next day, start your ear tuning, okay? You're in a hurry, great. Listen to it all day the first day, completely ignoring it just so it's in your ear. Sleep on it. Next day, continue the passive listening, but then start the ear tuning exercises. Well, what are ear tuning exercises? They are, again, in this case, for Dutch, every syllable that Slash is saying in the first 20 seconds is represented in English letters. And there's a key telling you what's what. I mean, if EE means E, or see an O there, it's O. See a G there, it says the German G, kind of a little louder. Okay, so, etc. The key is right there with the ear tuning syllables. Okay, you got the ear tuning syllables. These represent the 20 seconds of voice right at the beginning of his video. So you simply play his video and you listen. And while you're listening, you try to read those ear tuning syllables one by one, exactly as they are spoken from the audiobook by Slash. So now, what I just told you is impossible. I can't do it. No, you can't do it. I'm telling you to try to do it, to attempt to do it, attempt to follow the syllables that you're reading, the ear tuning syllables, and read each one of them exactly as his voice is saying them. You can't do that, but you can try, and you can you fall behind, you keep trying to catch up. There's only 20 seconds worth of syllables. And I'm gonna tell you to try this 10 times in a row. First thing, 10 times in a row, try it. And you probably get a little better as you keep trying, okay? And then I'm going to tell you to close your eyes. Listen very carefully. Play the same 20 seconds of speech 10 more times while you're just closely listening to it. And by the way, at no point are you talking during any of this. This is all, when I say read, I mean read silently to yourself. Okay? You're not talking out loud. And anyone who wants to talk out loud, hey, fine, but not during my listening exercises. This is a listening exercise, okay? Okay, so now you've listened 10 times carefully. Okay, next thing you do, you go right back and you try to follow the ear tuning syllables 10 times while you're listening. Okay, and it'll be a little easier because you just listened to it carefully 10 times. So, but it doesn't matter. This is not training. This is input for your speech center. Okay, 2 hours of this, to be exact, a half hour in the morning, a half hour at night for 2 days, and your ear will be tuned into Dutch. This is assuming that you have been surrounding yourself with Dutch and this guy's particular accent, okay, which is not that far off. I mean, it's still Dutch. Most of what he's saying is still Dutch. Yeah, a little bit of an accent, but you will be able to understand the Dutch that he's speaking in as little as 3 days. If you very first day did a whole lot of passive listening all day as you went about your day, number one. Second day, you still do that. Keep listening to Dutch in the background, but you stop and you do your ear tuning exercises for a half hour twice a day. Next day, half hour twice a day. You're still doing all the passive listening. Bingo! Now this guy sounds crystal clear. First, couldn't even follow what he's saying at all. Now you hear him crystal clear. Just 3 days from the start of the process. If you're in a hurry, okay. Now what? Now you learn Dutch. You soak it up. Do you study? Nope. No need to. If you can hear him perfectly, you can soak up that Dutch in no time. 7 minutes of Dutch, you'll have it down in very short order. Here's how you do it without studying. Okay. Attached to the video, everything you need is on that video. Directions, how to do ear tuning, everything I'm telling you is on that video. Okay. It's all attached in the comments. But okay, so I'm going to tell you next step after you hear it really well is you go to where I have the text, what he says, with the word by word translations. They are in English. I'm going to try to do those in 5 other languages: Italian, French, German, Portuguese, and Spanish. Okay, but for now, they're sitting there in English translation. So I mean the sentence, just the whole sentence is there in Dutch, but there's a Dutch word, then an English word, Dutch word, then English word. The English words are in parentheses. So you go and you look at the very first sentence. You look at the word by word translations. Okay, you kind of see what it means. It's not that tough to see what it means. If you can't figure out what it means, guess what? I have the full English translation down below in another comment. So go read the English translation of the 7 minutes. So now you got no excuse because hey, there it is. There's exactly what he's saying for the 7 minutes, right? Okay. So if you can't see what he means by word translations, look for the entire translation down a little further below. Okay. So what do you do if you just look? You know what that first sentence means. You're not studying it. You just looked at it for a moment, and you kind of know what that first sentence means. You listen to it. Now you listen to it, and preferably go to the Dutch translation, the exact transcript of what he said, and you read that first sentence in Dutch while you're listening to it. And you're not trying to learn it here exactly. I mean, you are, but you're not trying to learn it today. All you're doing is giving your speech center data. You've just looked at the English translations, and now you're hearing the Dutch. The speech center will take over from there and do the rest for you. You do not have to study this. How many times do you need to look it over and listen to it? I'd say look it over no more than like 3 times is what the meaning of the sentence, and don't listen to it more than 6 times, I would say. Now, 3 of those times, I want you to listen to that sentence with your eyes closed, just to see if you understand it. It doesn't matter if you do, you're just seeing if you understand it. Understanding this stuff by ear is the goal, but no, you also can read it. When you're done with my system for the 7 minutes, you can read it and you can hear it and understand it by ear. Okay, but not the first day. First day, you've listened to that first sentence 6 times, maybe looked a few times over what it means. Go on to the next sentence. Do the same thing there. Look up the word by word translations. That's not good enough. Go read the 7 minute transcript where the whole thing is converted to English. Okay, if you need to. Okay, go back to uh, the exact transcript in Dutch again, and read that a few times while you're listening to it. Okay, that one sentence. Then maybe 3 times you've listened to it. Maybe you're gonna go look over the notes again before you listen to it 3 more times with your eyes closed this time. Okay, mind you, it does not matter whether you do or not. Your speech center is pretty amazing. It doesn't need a whole lot. You'll find that choosing to move on to the next sentence is usually the best bet. You get a whole bunch of data into that speech center and let it figure it out. Because you're not trying to learn this, you're just trying to give data to the speech center. When you go to sleep, your speech center is going to take all this input, including the fact that you don't stop looping that audiobook when you're not doing the read throughs. You got the audiobook playing in the background during the day for several hours. So your speech center is also hearing all the Dutch again and again and again. Every 7 minutes, the speech center's heard that video again. Meanwhile, you keep doing these read-throughs for, well, let's say you're in a big hurry, okay? If you're in a really big hurry, then I would say, really big hurry, okay, and then do a whole hour of read-throughs, and then relax, do something else, and you listen passively for 1 hour. Okay, then do another hour of read-throughs, and then go listen passively for an hour. Do another hour read-throughs. Go listen passively for an hour. Hey, if you've done 3 hours of read-throughs, you probably already went through the first 7. You may have already went through 7 minutes worth. Start from the beginning again. Next day, hey, maybe you go through the whole 7 minutes again in read-throughs and many hours of passive listening, okay? Now this is if you're in a big, huge hurry. within a few days, you can know everything. I mean, 3 days after ear tuning, you could probably know exactly what that means that he's saying, the 7 minutes, be able to read it all in Dutch and understand it all by ear when it's spoken to you. And this guy's going to sound crystal clear to you by then. Okay, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do then? Well, hey, come back to me. I'll get you on the next audiobook. And if you're worried about standard Dutch, I'll point you to a standard Dutch audiobook. If you really want to learn more West Flanders, right now I don't have that available. But I'm hoping to get my buddy Slash Depover to do another video in West Flanders in case someone wants to go that route. Okay. Because there are people that move to Belgium that want to know some of these dialects spoken in Belgium. They'll be better served by maybe sticking with learning more stuff from the West Flanders accent. But there's a whole lot of people that want to learn standard Dutch. Then I'm going to point you to something on YouTube, not something I made, just something on YouTube. Have you start listening to it. I'll give you the ear tuning syllables for it. You'll very shortly convert the fact that you can hear the Dutch that Slash is speaking, and very shortly you'll be able to hear the Dutch quite well that's being spoken on the audiobook from standard Dutch. It doesn't take long at all. I mean, you don't have to do, but maybe you start doing passive listening immediately to the standard Dutch, and you can go right into starting to do the ear tuning. Because if you're ear tuned to Dutch, any Dutch, you're going to be pretty close to being ear tuned to the next accent. It just doesn't take very long. Just start doing the ear tuning exercises right away for the standard accent. No time at all. I mean, it could be as little as a half hour of ear tuning exercises, and you're good for standard Dutch from the West Flanders accent. That's all it took me. Okay, I mean, but I've been ear tuning to Dutch for a long time. Could it take you a little longer than a half hour? Maybe, but it doesn't take very long. Once you hear Dutch right, to go from one accent to a second accent. And as far as the West Flanders words, all he really uses very much is some contractions that don't exist in standard Dutch. But there's not I don't think there's a single noun in there, for instance, that's not Dutch. Verbs, he throws in like one verb, aim, en, which can mean have in his West Flanders. That's the only verb he throws in there that's West Flanders. Everything else, the rest of the West Flanders speech, we see the word okay, aller. That comes French influence. Aller is to go in French. A little French influence on the language, I think, in my opinion. So he's saying okay, aller. There's a uniquely West Flanders thing there. By the way, for your education, if you don't know, Flemish is something that does not actually exist. Flemish is supposedly what they speak in Belgium, the Dutch version spoken in Belgium, but in actuality, everybody in Belgium speaks whatever their region speaks. There's no such thing as Flemish, except in college, someone created something called Flemish. So there is. Does Flemish exist? Yeah. Is it spoken anywhere? No. It's not unless you're in college and you have a professor trying to get you to use more standard Flemish, I guess. But whatever that is, there is no region in anywhere in Belgium that speaks Flemish. They each speak their own dialect, such as Slash, he speaks West Flanders, and he calls that West Flams, by the way. Okay, so that's it for today. I'm going to suspend these for a few days, and next time I come back, I'm going to try to start teaching this in Italian. In other words, I'm going to, instead of speaking English, I'm going to teach this in Italian and tell you what all the words mean in Italian for the Dutch. So wish me luck on that. It'll take me a bit of work for that because Italian is one of my weakest language amongst the Latin ones. So I figure I get the hardest one out of the way. Then I'm gonna teach this course in French, and then Spanish, and Brazilian Portuguese, and what am I forgetting? And German. Okay, so these would be shorter courses, and there'll always be a couple days gap in between each one of them as I'm preparing. So